Hello everyone and welcome to this new tutorial. In today's video we are going to be solving the Cameroon GCE Advanced Level June 2023 Computer Science Paper 3 Section A Programming. In this tutorial we are going to be working on a plotting program. Alright, before we begin we are going to play a little game. Pause this video, press on the like button, subscribe and hit the bell icon for more videos. And if at the end of this video you haven't gotten anything, unsubscribe and unlike the video. Good. So we're going to begin, and this is the question paper. If you don't have the question paper yet, visit the link in the description below or go to cameroongcrevision.com. Download the app Kaulo from your app store or play store and get the paper. Let's get started. Alright, this paper is given 2 hours for its completion. So before you begin, make sure you go through the instructions, which says you should carry out all the given tasks and for your guidance approximate mark for each part, task indicated in brackets. Alright, so it's divided into 2 sections. Section A, which is the plotting program, and section B, which is school trip database, 20 marks, and the programming section is 30 marks. Alright, so in today's video we'll be focused mainly on the section A, 30 marks. Okay, if you haven't watched the previous videos yet, especially the one of June 2024, kindly do that, especially the first part which talks of the short note, because I have decided not to put the short notes at the beginning of videos again, because many students have complained that the videos are too long, and we are going to be solving just the paper in this video and putting ourselves in practical examinations mode. Alright, so let's just begin. Before you start, make sure you read through the paper from top to bottom, all the both sections, or you have to read it all, because reading everything prepares your mindset and makes you go as swift as possible. Say many interesting programming problems involving nested loops can be encountered when creating plots using printer. Alright, your task is to create a plot in figure 1 pyramid in a general manner, the size of the base entered at the beginning of the program execution. Arrays are not used to do this. The grid lines are just to ease working with the figure. The lines are not directly needed to answer any question. The pyramid has a number of stars at its base, max number of stars. Alright, and it's made up of rows of spaces and stars. Each line of the pyramid is made up of an odd number of leading spaces, number of spaces, followed by a number of stars. There are blanks after the stars, but they are not important for this exercise. Alright, so after reading this, you should make sure that the figure exactly describes what is happening here, what it's saying. In fact, just go through the question again and try to identify all the variables stated and their values. So here they say a pyramid has a number of stars at its base, which is max number of stars. So this is the max number of stars here, and it is made up of rows of spaces and stars. These are the rows, space star, space star, space star. Alright, this one has just stars, so let's believe there are spaces here. Each line of the pyramid is made up of an odd number of leading spaces. Here are the leading spaces. Here is 1, 2. Wow. Leading spaces for the first line, second line, third line, fourth line. Oh. Number of spaces followed by the number of stars. Number of stars is there. Alright, so I think this is not really comprehensible, but in the course of the video, in the course of solving this paper, we might understand what's happening. But from what we are seeing here, the leading spaces are not just odd, because here is 5, here is 4, here is 3, here is 2, here is 1, and the odd are the number of stars instead. 1, 3, 5. So I think it was just a reverse. Odd number of stars and followed by number of spaces. 4 number of spaces actually. Alright, so it's very good to understand the problem. If this figure was not given, we should have been very confused with this kind of instruction. but thank God we have this, and we move. Task 1 says problem understanding. The solution to this problem is outlined in the following algorithm. Initialize the number of species and stars. Okay, for the particular line, we initialize that. Like here we have 1 star, 5 species. Repeat. For the current line, output the leading species first, yes, then output the number of stars, yes, then adjust the species and the stars for the next line until the number of stars is the number required. So if you read this algorithm, you understand that at the first line, we first output the number of stars required, the number of species required. We first start with the number of species required, leading species, then we output the number of stars required. Then we go and adjust the number of species and the number of stars. Like here, the number of species is reduced by 1, the number of stars is increased by 2. So the adjustment is constant, and we make that so we have the maximum number of stars. So this is what the algorithm says. Next, we say mindful of the task description above, consider the pyramid of stars in figure 1 above and carry out the following. Roman 1, state the initial values for max number of stars. Okay, let's do that. We're going to call our notepad, and from the notepad we're going to say max number of stars. Max number of stars, we go and count it. From the pyramid here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11 max number of stars. Prepare for the next question. Roman 2 says state the number of leading species, number of species and stars, number of stars of the first line. Alright, let's see this. Number of species 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Number of stars 1. Okay, so we have number of species, we say equal to 5, and in the same movement we say number of stars, we say equal to 1. All right, number of stars 1, number of species 5. Please respect the cases, because from what I'm seeing here, the variable says to write it you need to put the first letter of each. It's a kind of title case where the first letter of each word is in title and there is no space, which gives us the name of the variable directly. All right, let's prepare ourselves for Roman 3. I believe that's already how many marks? 3 marks. Let's see. 4 marks. 3. Okay, Roman 3 says state the number of leading species and stars of the second line. Okay, first line is here, second line we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 number of species, 1, 2, 3. 3 number of stars. Okay, so I'll just copy this. You can't copy on your question paper, so I'm very sorry, you can type it out yourself. Okay, so number of species here was 4, number of stars 3. Okay, let me separate the questions for it to be very visible. So we have this. Prepare the space for the next line. Roman 4. Roman 4 says between successive lines the number of stars reduces while the number of leading species increases. Hence, by what amount should we modify number of species and number of stars before printing the next line in the pyramid? If you print successive rows from the top of the pyramid, meaning from top to down. Okay, so here we are told that the number of stars reduces while the number of stars increases. You can see this well. Between successive lines, yes, the number of stars reduces. Oh, that means it's not more this case, guys. Yeah, because in this case the number of stars is increasing. Between successive lines, the number of stars reduces while the number of leading species increases. Hence, by what amount should we modify number of species and number of stars before printing the next line? Alright, so if number of stars is reducing, we know that stars are like odd numbers, right? So we're going to say number of stars will reduce by 2, while number of space will increase by 1. From the instruction, between successive lines, the number of stars reduces, guys. This is a trap, because this is not this figure. Okay, whereas this question said mindful of the task above, consider the pyramid in figure 1. So you read this and you take as it is given. The number of stars reduces while the number of leading species increases. And if you want to draw a pyramid downward, you're going to see that it will be the same algorithm for it to give a triangular pyramid. Yeah, the number of space will increase by 1, whereas the number of space of stars will decrease by 2. So let's do that. We're going to say number of space will increase by 1. Then you could put in bracket the algorithmic format of that. You say number of spaces is equal to number of spaces plus 1, close the bracket. So you could represent it like this, or you could just write in the word form. Good. And for the next case, we are asked to tell what will happen for the number of stars, given that the number of stars reduces, right? Within here, between successive lines, the number of stars reduces. So we're going to say number of stars reduced by number of stars will decrease by 2, and then we put the algorithmic format of that. You see number of stars is equal to number of stars minus 2. Good. So we are done with the first part. We go to the next question. Task 2, program development. Choose either the Pascal or C programming language. Alright, we're going to work with C programming language to implement your plot of the pyramid of stars. Question 2. Using a suitable editor of your choice, write the following functions and or procedures. Alright. The procedure initialize max number of stars, number of spaces, number of stars to initialize the variables, max number of stars, number of spaces for the first line. 2 marks. Alright, let's first let's create our candidate folder. Okay, I'm going to create a new folder here. I'm going to say Nelson candidate folder, but in the GCE, please make sure you put your full name. Okay, here's my candidate folder. Open my candidate folder and I stand it there. Open my IDE. I'll choose Dev C++ for this tutorial. Yeah, in the subsequent ones we're going to be using code blocks. Nelson, you quit. Okay, let me set up this thing first. Okay. Continue from here. Alright, so we're going to press Ctrl N to start a new file, a new save file. Then we're going to press Ctrl S to save our file. Save as. So we are going to name it task 2. Yeah, we'll just go say task 2, and we make sure that we put it in our candidate folder. Put desktop, Nelson candidate folder, and you save. Good. So we're going to start with the skeleton first. Hashtag include stdio.h standard input output.header. Yeah, always put your skeleton first. That's for the printf and the scanf functions. We're going to use it, the main function, and we return 0. Okay. In the other video, many people are asking me why I am not declaring my variables before my functions or procedure before using them. So in variable declaration, you just have to come and put int. You put the you put the function name here, and in brackets you put all the identifier int x, char, y, and whatsoever. So you close and you come down here. After declaring, you come and initialize back your function, int function name, and you open. So I don't usually do that because yeah, there's no problem if I don't do that. Actually, it's important. You can do like you can't do. It depends on you. Good. So let's move. We are asked to, using a suitable editor of our choice, yes, write the following functions or procedures. The procedure initialize max number of stars, number of spaces, number of stars. Alright, so we're going to say int. It's a procedure, right? So it's a void. Alright, it's a void because procedures don't really return anything. So let's say int max number of stars, comma int number of spaces, because they're all integers. Yeah, max number of stars is an integer, max number of spaces is an integer, and the number of stars also is an integer. Good. So let's just initialize to make our code clean. Actually, yeah, that's the reason. So to make our code clean, we are going to do that, and so that if you have like thousands lines of code, and you need to know which are the functions or procedures you have used down, right? You just come here and look at all the initializations of your functions and procedures. It will guide you, and you're going to know exactly which function does the specific stuff. That's why commenting your code is very important, using two forward slashes. So you come and save function, you see procedure to initialize the variables. Yeah, even at the GCE, it's very important to comment your code, guys. It gives additional marks, I believe, and make sure that you do like this for your code to be very clear and understandable. Good. Now that we have declared our function, now at the level of the initialization, we are asked to give this procedure max number of stars, number of spaces, number of stars. To initialize the variables, max number of stars, number of spaces, number of stars. For the first line, okay, we are set for the first line. Initialize max number of stars. All right, here we already know its value. Let's first put the variables there. Max number of stars, we'll put that. Max number of spaces, put that, and the number of stars. Okay, so looking at this, we're going to say max number of stars is actually this base, yeah, because if max number of stars is different from number of stars, that means for all the lines they'll have a certain max number of stars, because that's what is in our loop. Yeah, so max number of stars will be this guy. And from the node part, we had a certain node part here which told us that max number of stars is equals to 11, and for the first line, number of spaces is 5, number of stars is 1. So we have 11 here. We close away semicolon. Number of spaces 5, semicolon. Wow. Number of stars 1 for the first line. Good. So we have initialized all our variables for the first line. We continue with another function or procedure. We check that. Roman 2. The procedure output leading spaces in bracket n spaces, which takes the number n spaces, that means it's an integer, and outputs the number of leading spaces for the given line on the screen. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to say void. What's that again? Void output leading spaces. All right, output is one word, then leading another word, spaces. Okay, output leading spaces, it takes as parameter int n spaces. Good. So you copy that. Okay, you can see comment. Okay, we comment here and we say outputting procedure to output let's say leading spaces here. Leading spaces. All right, procedure to output leading spaces. Output leading spaces n spaces, which takes a number n spaces and output that number. Okay, that's all what you code. That means while declaring, we'll just put this, and now let's go and initialize that. We'll come back down here to initialize that. We're going to put it and open the procedure to start outputting. So this is the parameter. It takes n spaces and it outputs the number of spaces given that. So we're going to put a local variable here I, which will be our counter, because if n spaces is 10, that means we need to print 10 spaces on the same line, right? So we're going to say for I equal to 0, I less than n spaces. Okay, yeah, we're going to say less than n spaces because it's the same thing as saying I equals to 1 and I less than or equals to n spaces. Like we're going to do 1, 2, 3 up to n spaces. If you enter like 4 of them, you go 1, 2, 3, 4. So now that another 0 counts and less than means 1 minus it will still give the same number of n spaces, and we are incrementing it by 1, so I plus plus. And inside here we're just going to say print f or print a space, that's all. Yeah, so we're going to print a space there. There's no backslash n, that means you'll not go to the next line, you just execute on the same line. Good. We are done with n spaces. Output line of stars. Okay, the procedure output line of stars, which takes number n stars and output that number of stars for the line on the screen. Output line of stars. Okay, we're going to do that. We're going to say procedure to output number of stars here. Output number of stars. All right. So let's do that. We're going to say void output line. Oh, it was line, right? Whatever. Line stars. Let's check that. Output line of okay. Output line of stars. So I'm going to say int stars n stars. Okay. N stars. Good. We copy that after putting our semicolon, which is the syntax for any statement in C programming language. You come here. You can close if you want a better view, you can close your functions or procedures like this. So we're going to put it back here, open it. We're going to do the same thing. Int I, our counter for I equal to 0, I less than n stars, I plus plus. Good. And here we are printing stars, right? So say print F and put our star in quotes. We end with a semicolon. Good. So we are done with this procedure. We go to the next. The procedure adjusts number of stars, number of spaces. Adjust the variable number of spaces and number of stars to the values used to print the next row of blanks and stars. So we are just adjusting here. I'm going to say procedure to adjust. Comment that procedure to adjust. All right, say void adjust int n number of let's look at the order because it matters a lot. Number of species, then we'll say int number of stars. We copy that and we go down. Okay, we close this. That's not actually closing, that's just hiding because I can expand, I can contract. Yeah, this is an advantage of the Dev C++ IDE to make the code more visible, and yeah, you can work on 1,000 lines of code without getting tired. Okay, so just adjusting the number of spaces and the number of stars for the next line. So if you are printing that particular pyramid you saw, you're going to say number of spaces is equal to number of spaces minus 1 as it was decreasing. I'm just adjusting it. That's why the first exercise is always there to teach us what the code is all about, like understanding the problem situation. Alright, so here we're going to increase the number of stars by 2. Good. We have adjusting the number of spaces and the number of stars values to print the next row of blanks and stars. Okay, number of spaces equal number of spaces minus 1, number of stars equals to number of stars plus 2. Alright, next question. Question 3. Develop the algorithm giving him pseudo code in tax 1 as a main program that calls the procedures or functions implemented in tax 2, command 2. Okay, tax 2 sub 2. For this, the number of spaces and number of stars and max numbers are presented under tax description are stored in global variables. Hint: the condition number of stars is the number required in the algorithm could be coded as number of stars greater than number of stars, max number of stars. Alright, the condition number of stars is the number required. Okay, in this loop, until the number of stars is the number required. So we're going to do a do while, and the while will be simply this condition that is given here: number of stars greater than max number of stars. Oh, those the opposite, because if number of stars is increasing, it should definitely be less than the max number of stars. So we're going to check that. And here we are asked to first initialize our number of spaces, number of stars, and max number of stars as global variables. So let's go into that. The global variable is simply a variable out of all the other functions. So we are out of the functions and the procedures. We're going to say int. So let's just put this. Okay, let me just. Okay, I have to expand before I see the copying. Okay, I'll copy this and put here. making sure that there's no int here, else I'm going to have a syntax error because that's not how you initialize many variables in C. It's just one int and the rest are the variable names and separated by commas. Alright, we have that. Okay, so there is this little point of a comment I saw in the other video when why solving June 2024. A student commented that isn't it better to work functions by functions, procedures by procedures, like each at a time, and compile. Compiling is like checking for errors, correcting them before moving to the next. Alright, one thing is that whenever you're dealing with such a paper, you know, being in the hall, you'll be very stressed, like you'll be tense, guys. Like I don't even know how to say it, but the experience there is not that free and relaxed as you've seen me doing. So to avoid that kind of situation, because when you have to compile, for example, when you have to compile one procedure at a time and you realize that there's an error you can't solve, it's going to demoralize you and you won't have that mood to continue the other ones. You'll always be thinking of this, and yeah, you won't be able to continue with the other procedures. So just keep your initial stamina for the beginning and make sure that you go through all the questions till the question asks you to execute before you start compiling and correcting one by one. Because if you waste time on one procedure, the time might catch you that that you have not finished the paper. Yeah, and you definitely have to fill them up. So it's better to go all through before as fast as you can while doing exactly what's asked. That's why mastering the C syntax is very crucial before entering the GCE hall. Alright, so let's move. In this question, we have initialized them as global variables. So we are now asked to develop the algorithm given the pseudocode. This is it. Repeat until for the current line, output number of leading species, output number of stars, adjust the number of stars. Okay, so let's do that. Initialize the number of species and stars before entering the while loop. So we're going to call for the initialize function here. We're going to say initialize. We're going to call it just like that. Since these are global variables, we could just place them back. Don't forget these are arguments. So while putting the arguments, you don't have to. While putting the arguments, you don't put the int again. Yeah, you're just passing them here so they should come and be replaced here and their values upgraded or changed. Yeah, so we have called the initialize. Next, repeat for the current line. So we're going to say do for the current line. Okay, that's not the procedure. Output leading spaces. So we're going to say output leading spaces. Output leading spaces. Okay. So here we are supposed to enter the number of spaces that should pass as argument. So these are the number of spaces. Here we put n spaces just there because it is the parameter. Don't forget that it's another variable. So what happens is that the value that will be replaced by n number of spaces, because here after calling this function this procedure, what happens is that these variables are going to be filled with values. Max number of stars will be 11, number of spaces will be 5, and number of stars will be 1. So we have number of spaces to be 5, and while entering this do while loop, number of spaces already have a value of 5. So this will be replaced by 5, and while coming here, n stars will be 5. So the output number of output leading spaces is going to print 5 spaces. Good. So we end this with semicolon. The next line says output line of stars. Okay, we're going to say output line of stars is copy and paste to gain time, and remove this int because arguments don't go with format specifier for the data type. Okay, output. I did not copy the O. What next? Adjust the number of spaces and stars for the next line. Okay, we're going to adjust this. Alright, so here we are supposed to change our argument. The argument here is number of stars, not n stars. Yeah, else you run that and okay that n stars is not initialized. That's true. So we remove this, pass them as arguments, adjust. Good. So we are done with everything here. Next, we are asked to until number of stars is the number required. So we're going to do this while number of stars. While number of stars, if you put greater than, it will not be accurate because this is very small. Don't forget, when we're initializing, number of stars is 1, whereas max number of stars is 11. So this will not even execute once, but we want to print our pyramid. We know that the number of stars have to increase to the number of stars has to increase to the max number of stars. So we're going to put less than first, and if anything is not correct, we're going to put that. So while doing this, you comment. You have to comment here saying that the number of stars is less than the max number of stars. Okay, let's just put it like this, and see how we are going to go. Okay, so that's it. Next, we're done with the program development. We are not asked to run our code yet. This task reader says execute your program. Run your program for a pyramid of base 9, and let's test it to make sure that it works correctly. Screenshot your output and save it in a file named tax3. Print the screenshot. Okay, let's first run this with what we know with a base of 11 and see what happens before changing the values. Okay, so we have an error here. We need to put a semicolon immediately after the adjust. Another error here, semicolon after the while. So guys, always check your semicolons, very crucial. Okay, we run that. Okay, nothing is printed. That means it's a very big error at the level of printing stars and giving their values. So let's check that. So here we have three variables: max number of stars, number of species, and number of stars, which are initialized to 11, 5, and 1. And here we are initializing them. Let's check if the initializing is actually correct. So we're going to say printf. That's how you do in the GCE or any other exam. Is part of dry running or debugging. You need to print the respective variables to see if their values are coming out, because if their values are coming out, they should definitely enter here. And if their values are not coming out, that means it's a problem at the level of the initialization of of the initialization of the variable. So let's just test with these two first ones and run it again. Build and run. Okay, 0 0. As you see, there's an error. That means this is not changing the values of these variables. Like max number of stars is not changing, whereas we have put our procedure here and we told the procedure to change it to 11. That means it enters but does not change the value, and that's really bad. So to fix this error, we're going to use pointers, because we know in C language a procedure only changes procedures and functions. They only deal with one parameters. What do I mean by that? If I remove this and I put back the printf, if I remove that and I put back the printf %z max number of stars, and I put back this. Okay, I put back this, and here I come here, I remove all of this. I also remove all of this and I run. Initialize max number of stars, conflicting initialize. And let's check at the level of the spelling. Max number of stars is declared. Int max number of stars, max number of stars is equal to 11. Okay, there's a few arguments for that. Few arguments. Okay, at the level of the declaration here. Let's not remove it here also. Guys, learn how to read errors. So that's what we're doing here. Here this is too few arguments for initialize. That means it's a place where I put more arguments than before. And I change that. So I run. C gives me 0. That means the address memory location of the variable max number of stars is not actually seen in the memory. Let's initialize it here and run again. Okay, it gives 11. So that gives 11. Okay, but now everything was set in such a way that we do that through a procedure. So press Ctrl Z many times to go back to our previous state. Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z, Ctrl Z. Okay, so we are back to normal state. Here, what we're going to do is we are going to use the knowledge of pointers, because for us to change the values of variables using functions or procedures, we need to pass through their memory addresses. That's calling by reference rather than calling by values. So pass through their addresses. To do that, you are simply going to put the ampersand sign here. Don't forget that ampersand is what gives the address of a variable. Now these are addresses, and any variable that stores the address of a variable is called a pointer. So we are going to put pointers here. We put stars after the int, we put stars, yeah, to tell that this particular variable is a variable called a pointer. It stores the memory address of the variable. So we'll do the same thing here. Put stars, we put stars. Now we're going to do what we call dereferencing pointers. To dereference a pointer, you put a star, you put the name of the pointer, and you change the value. Yeah, that means this guy is going to go back to the address and change the value that was there initially and put 11. So let's do that here also. Let's do that here. Good. Now let's check if the values will change with our debugging methodologies. We say printf %d, comma, maximum of stars, because we must make sure that all these values at this level have been changed before they can enter here. So that's the first way you debug a code. Okay, we put that here and put a semicolon. We run. Wow. Okay, 11 is there. That's good. 11 is there. We remove this. Okay, we remove this and we run again. It's like it's an infinite loop, like it's never finishing. Yeah, that's obvious because we are not changing the values of number of stars. That means there's a problem at the level of adjust. Let's go to adjust again. Adjust says number of species is equal to number of species minus 1. Number of stars is equal to number of stars plus 2. So as number of stars starts from 1, it's going to keep on increasing. Number of stars will increase till it reaches a value of max number of stars. Let's put greater than again and run. 1 star. Yeah, that's weird because it didn't even enter the loop. It just did this. That's why that's not correct. So it's less than. And let's try and see why we are in an infinite loop. Now we'll try and look from our debugging methodologies. We are running an infinite loop. That means there's a problem with adjust, number of species, number of stars. Okay, let me just try and print all the values. Printf %d, comma, %d, comma, %d. No, there's no comma, sorry. It's like this. Then these variables here, they are the ones placed with comma without the addresses, because here we are no more dealing with addresses. We're dealing with the values found in the variable itself. So we print this. Expected, okay, semicolon. I don't know why I'm sick with this problem of semicolons everywhere. So what is this counting? 1151. Okay, 1151. That means these values are correct. The maximum of stars is 11, the number of species is 5, and the number of stars is 1. So we cut this, and we make sure that we check the code very well, making sure that we are doing the right thing. The level of the value of number of stars. So let's do another debugging methodology. At each loop, we are going to print f %d, the value of, no, let's put 2 %d's, %d, comma, and we are going to print the value of max number of stars and the value of number of stars. to check exactly what happens. Who changes? Is someone constant? Is the other person decreasing? So we check all that and we compile again. Semicolon over here. Alright, so we check that. You see nothing is changing, like it's remaining 1 and the other one is remaining 11. That means we are not adjusting it correctly. It's remaining 1 and the other one is remaining 11. Okay, that means there's a problem because after initializing we have given values to max number of stars, number of space, number of stars. This guy is 1, this guy is 11. But here, while adjusting, it's like number of stars is not changing. Let's go back to our adjust. Number of stars is equal to number of stars plus 2. That means each time I call this, number of stars will pass here as the second parameter, as second argument. Come and enter here. Number of stars, number of stars, number of stars. Output line of stars. No, down there we are working with the adjust. Number of stars is here. So number of stars is supposed to increase by 2 each time you go. Like you go from 1 to 3 to 5 till it's less than the max number of stars. There is a problem at the level of the variables. Like variables are not interchanged correctly. So we're going to use the same notion of pointers, and instead of passing the variable directly, we are going to pass the address. Because passing the address automatically allocates the space where it is found in memory and changes its value. Okay, so let's look at it down here. We're going to create pointers. It's going to store the address of the point of the variable in memory. So we put stars here to show that these are not normal variables. Wow. These are pointers. Okay, let's run this back. We say passing one adjust makes an integer from pointer without a cast. Alright, we forgot to put it here also. Yeah, that's why I don't really like this idea of declaring, but this is for the max, guys, for the max. Okay, because it was conflicting. It says here that expected ints be, but argument type ints this. Like it was supposed to expect what was here initially, but it saw this. So we'll learn how to read the errors and we run again. Good, this is good, this is good, this is good. So the values are changing. 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Good. So now we remove this our debugging guide. This guy was helping us to debug our code to exactly identify where the errors are coming from. And now we need to do something. We need to print to the next line. Yeah, so we're going to say printf \n. Okay, we need to go to the next line. We run this again. Beautiful. So the code came out and everything is good. Next question. Remove, guys, remove. Okay. Print a copy of the program. We didn't even do forum 1. Forum 1 says run your program for a pyramid of base 9 and test it to make sure that it works correctly. Screenshot the output and save it in a file name tag series. Print a screenshot. Okay. So let's change the base number. Change the max base number to 9. If you do this, that means a number of spaces at the beginning will be 9 divided by 2, I think 4, because when we had 11 divided by 2 is 5, right? So 9 divided by 2 is 4.5. It's just like 11. So let's print this and see what happens. Beautiful, perfect rectangular triangle with a base of 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Wow, am I even counting this well? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. Okay, why is 9? I think 9 is a rectangular number. 9. Let's see. It's 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11. Yeah, that's true. That means it's a problem here. Let's try and put equal to. Yeah, so that when number of stars reaches max number of stars, you can see. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, that was the condition. The condition is less than or equal to, because by increasing number of stars, it will surely reach the level where it will be like max number of stars. Okay, that said, we print the screenshot, we run this again, and we say here can be equal to. Okay, so we do that, and we run the code again. Okay, we are asked to screenshot the output. We invite our snipping tool or the screenshotting tool, anyone you have, and screenshot just this part of the code. Let's call snipping tools here, because that method we put it in another folder. Whereas with snipping tool, you can specify the folder in which you want to save the image. Yeah, so you use that. You press on save here, and you locate your candidate folder from the desktop, and you put it on pyramid with base 9 output. Then you pass it to the examiner. He's going to print the image for you. Yeah, because nothing was specified here that we should use Microsoft Word to create a file. Yeah, nothing was said. Now we need to change our file name to tax 3. We have to join that. So put save as. You come here and put task 3 is C file, and we're in our candidate folder. Could even delete this one, but let's just save this one. Yeah, we'll delete that after. Task 3 small t. Now we are done with task 3. We go to task 4. Modify your program. Modify your program so that it asks the user to enter an odd positive integer and then displays a diamond of stars based on that number. For example, the value of 7 will produce this. Alright, so we're going to come to our main. The first thing we'll do is we're going to prompt the user to enter a number of stars. Okay, so we'll say printf. We say enter an odd number. Enter an odd number of stars. Is it base or stars? Let's check that. Enter an odd positive integer. Let's just say that. Enter an odd positive integer. Okay. Then we need to take it, scanf, %d, ampersand to put in a memory location. We need a variable for that. It was not specified, so we're going to put num, int num. Put that in our variable num. That means when the user is going to input the positive integer, it's going to be stored in int num. For example, the value 7 will produce this. So nothing is given, nothing is specified, so it's all up to us. Good. We have it as num. Now we need to think. This num we take from the user is the base, right? So we are going to say max number of stars is equal to num. So how do we do that? Instead of putting num, we are simply going to change this value like this and like this. Yeah, we're going to do this, and we're going to, this was the max number of stars here. That means we can change all these parameters, but nevertheless it's not really necessary to do that. So what we can do is, because the examiners would like to see all these parameters in your code, what we could do is instead take num and declare it as a global variable. Okay, let's do that. So we are going to maintain num. We are going to add num here instead of putting it as a local variable. We are going to store num as a global variable also. And when we are going to come down here, we're going to say max number of stars is equal to num. Yeah, because num is a global variable. It can be used in all the different functions or procedures. So I'll just say num here is equal to num. Now number of spaces will simply be num divided by 2 from what we saw, and the first line will always be 1, so we maintain that. Okay, So now that we know that it will always be 1, what next? We need to print in the reverse order now. To do that, we are going to put another adjust downward. Yeah, so procedure to adjust. Okay, another procedure to adjust again. So we are going to say adjust down. We have number of spaces and number of stars, obviously. So now let's go and see how adjust down is going to behave. We come here. Wow, because here we need to do a backward process at the end. That means after this while loop, we're going to use another while loop that is going to start downward while going. So this is exactly where the game starts and where everything becomes complicated. Let's do this. To adjust downward, we're going to say number of spaces. We copy back this since we have seen that variables are not changed just like that. We need pointers. So we're going to add this by 1. We add 1, and here we're going to reduce 2. Okay, for the initialization part, should we initialize back? Values have changed already, so yeah, I think it's not necessary. We go back to our main. Here is the main. Inside the main, we are going to, let me first remove this terminal for now. Yeah, just a little bit, for the code to be a little bit visible for some of you. Okay, this was very important because this particular while loop prints downward in forward order. Let's say up and down. Okay, this one prints normal triangle like this. Now we need someone that will print like this. So to do that, we are going to put back this same while loop second time, because if we put anything in between there, it's going to print one line, then try to turn around before printing the next line. So we put back this do while loop, so another do while loop, and here instead of adjusting, we're going to put the adjust down. Good. And here we know that max number of stars is greater than. Yeah, it's greater than actually. So let's see what it gives. C7. Okay, there's a problem. It's not decreasing, it's not continuing, nothing is happening. Okay, number of spaces, number of stars. We have printf \n to go to the next line. We have y number of stars is greater than max number of stars. But that's not true actually, because how can we even put that? Let's just change the condition. So let's analyze what's happening here. Initially we know that max number of stars, it's already a big number, and the number of stars is that big number going downward, and we know that it will never be less than 0. It's actually going to go down to 1. So instead of changing number of stars, we just put greater than 0. Yeah, because you'll be reducing to a certain value. Let's run that again. Enter positive integer 7. Okay, so we are almost there. We just need to remove this line. This particular line is not necessary. So to remove that line, instead of using a do while loop, because don't forget that do while loop means execute once before coming back to me. So our do while loop will simply put it in a while loop first and see what happens, because check the condition before we execute in a while loop, whereas a do while loop executes before checking the condition. So let's do this and try again. 7. Okay, it does the same thing. That means it's actually an error at the level of okay, we'll put it back. The do while loop is back. The level of our adjust down. That means our first line is not actually the first line, because from the image we have here, yeah, we are not reprinting this. We are not reprinting that. That means our first line will not be max number of stars. It will be max number of stars minus 1. So we come back down here. So our adjust down. Here is adjust down. Not really that, but it's actually up here. Here, like here. We need to do something to change the first number, like number of stars. Yeah, say number of stars is equal to number of stars minus 1. Yeah, we'll be sure that our base is not actually Let's adjust down. Okay, adjust down don't really have a problem. It's a little of initialize, but since we do not create another initialize function, we just need to adjust this guy, because after executing this, number of stars is the max number of stars in some cases. Yeah, so we need to remove that first line. I think stars increased by 1, right? So let's do that again. Okay, so let me remove this, it's not necessary. I run the code again, semicolon, and I run the code. I enter 7, still there, and actually my last number has gone instead. Wow, that means instead of adjusting number of stars, I was supposed to adjust max number of stars. Yeah, it has an influence on the adjust from what I'm seeing. Let's try again. 7. It has not changed anything, so we need to find a way, guys. We need to find a way to solve this problem. Let's analyze our code very well. So initially we are outputting the number of leading spaces, and coming here, number of leading spaces is 0, don't forget. Then after, we output the number of stars. Number of stars actually has become max number of stars, because after finishing this loop, there are a lot of things that have happened at the level of changing of variables. So we need to find a way to adjust that first line before continuing outputting. So what happens is that it actually goes without adjusting the space and the stars. So to fix that, we are going to call the adjust downward once. Yeah, like before entering the loop, call for it. So I copy this, I put here. Before going downward, I adjust it first. And let's see what it gives. I enter 7. Okay, we are almost there. It's just that this line is supposed to be less than this. That means you are not actually starting from the beginning. So we will do that twice. We run again. Okay, we enter 7. Beautiful. Let's count the number of stars. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, so that's it. We have our code and everything works. Now we said we should run our code with base of 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and test it to make sure that it works correctly. Screenshot the output of your program. Okay, the output, and save it in a file named tax3 and print the screenshot. So the file will still be named tax3, whereas it's tax4 actually, since here we saved as tax3. So in these cases, you just do what was asked, because if you put tax4, tax3, you have 2 different files, and if the examiners are checking with the final tax3 of everyone, you realize that you end up with this one without the tax4. So you just do that, and yeah, exactly as it says here, we're going to save it as tax3. But actually, it's already our tax3, so here we don't stress too much. We leave it like that. So we have to screenshot for the snipping tool, a new one, enter positive integer 7. I said avoid screenshotting from here because your name is usually displayed here and the name of the computer here. In some schools, you'll see the name of the center like GBHS, Fumbot or whatsoever, and here you have your name. If your candidate folder has your name, like here you can see the file path is written Nelson's candidate folder, and the file path starts with the computer's name. So you screenshot exactly here, not to disclose your identity. Make sure you show the process execution, especially this time, because most students don't usually write the code. They go and put printf, they put the star, printf star star, printf star star star, and when the examiners check their code, they realize that it executed in 0.00 seconds, and they don't know that they cheated. In fact, the code will even talk. So go do that well and make sure your time is clear. Okay, so we have done that. We save it as we're going to say pyramid with base 7 output. Pyramid with base 7 output. Okay, so that's it, guys. You save in your candidate folder. You close everything first. After closing everything, you open back your candidate folder. Be sure that all your files are inside and accurately precise. Okay, so we're going to delete the capital tax C, no, this one, because that was our initial file. That was not really important. So we're going to open this guy, the dev C++. So this is our code. We did that in about 68 lines. Everything is clean, good. We make good use of pointers to play around with variables, passing them through functions and procedures. We commented our code. If you have time at the end of the exam, instead of sleeping, come back to your code and comment everywhere. Like, just comment for your code to be very clean, and in so doing, you're going to have great marks from the examiners. Okay, so we move. We're done with the exam paper for the section A. In the next video, we are going to be solving the section B, which is the school trip database. Make sure you have the paper. Start this paper by yourself and watch the video after trying it yourself. Actually, that's how we learn. Good. So guys, this is the end of our video. Thanks for watching. Comment below for any question or suggestion, and don't forget, 1 like equals to 1 prayer, 1 share equals to 1 miracle, and 1 subscription equals to 1 blessing. All together gives 1 more video. That's it, guys. This video was presented to you by Nelson Fojo, and here are our contacts. You can contact the Nail Code team for any inquiry to join our revision group. Don't forget, this is our Telegram group where we pass all the announcements, or switch to Telegram as other messages can be seen when new members join the group. So that's it, guys. Trust the process. We move.